Zohran Mamdani just beat incredible odds to win the New York City mayoral election. But he's not the only person who's ready to bring on new Democratic leadership. Progressives everywhere can throw the bums out. I'm Amanda Marcotte. Welcome to Standing Room Only.
My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
I want to kick off this episode by talking about the old-fashioned act of reading. I was engrossed by my Salon colleague Russell Payne's recent article, Panic in the Hamptons, the fight to stop Zohran Mamdani. As the headline suggests, it was about the coordinated effort between Republicans and centrist Democrats to stop the newly elected New York City mayor. Hey, look at you, Zohran. We're happy here. What's fascinating to me is how much these efforts backfired. Zohran was able to turn out 90,000 volunteers. People are clearly sick of weak, corrupt politicians like his opponent, Andrew Cuomo. Russell spoke with a 27-year-old volunteer who said that she plans to get more involved with future campaigns. That should be a good thing. Democrats should want more people in this fight. But instead, the establishment is fighting this tooth and nail.
If you had a vote in this city, would you vote for Zohran Mamdani?
You know what? I don't vote in this city.
Do you see Mamdani as the future of the Democratic Party?
No, I think the future of the Democratic Party is going to fall, as far as we're concerned, relative to the House Democratic Caucus.
No, he's the future of the Democratic Socialist Party. He's not a Democrat.
I believe that Zohran Mamdani is a threat to my constituents.
Mamdani, are you going to vote for him?
Look, the bottom line is very simple. I have a good relationship with him, and we're continuing to talk.
Well, the vote is on Tuesday. What are you going to do?
Hey, Chuck, who you voting for? He's like, you don't understand. I have to go to dinner with Andrew Cuomo later tonight. There's a reason for all this hostility. Part of it is the lingering Islamophobia, of course. But it's also that Zohran's win is a rebuke to the calcified wisdom of the Democratic Party that puts fundraising above all other concerns. The money addiction is why the party loves to run elderly centrists who inspire no one but have big Rolodexes full of associates with deep pockets. They're old, they have actual Rolodexes. They just sit there on their desk being 80 years old being like flip, flip, flip. Give me my landline. We love our older viewers. Zohran had a whole lot of money against him. Rich people in New York are so panicked you'd think they are turning Tavern on the Green into a free needle exchange. If money was the primary factor in winning elections, then Zohran would have been toast a long time ago. But because the penthouse set hates him so much, he's looking like the champion of the little guy. Which is why there is one major Democrat who was once an upstart with an unusual name who let it be known that he is backing Zohran.
ABC News has learned former President Barack Obama called mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani today. We are told Obama praised Mamdani's campaign and offered to be a sounding board in the future. This was the second phone conversation between the two men.
It's become standard to say that Zohran's win is not a national story. They love to say that it's only because NYC is a bright blue city.
What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. We all saw that coming. And no one should read too much into last night's election results.
But the staggering rate of volunteerism shows that the story of Zohran's candidacy reaches far beyond the 5 boroughs. And the moneyed sets tantrum shows that this is not just a local story of no great importance. Zohran shows the power of running candidates that inspire people.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation.
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality.
I am here loud and proud to rank Zohran Mamdani #1 for mayor of New York City.
Endorsed by
Emily Radikowski.
And you.
And you.
Drink your water. Come out and vote November 4th, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I won't require everyone to eat halal food. This sounds like a punchline. This is literally...
You just made news.
This is literally in a push poll to New Yorkers saying that I'm going to make halal mandatory.
You will be required to eat falafel with a little bit of feta on it. Seeing Zohran Mamdani motivate young people is why they're so afraid. They don't want the kids to know that they have the power to oust aging, out-of-touch leaders from the Democratic Party. Sure, Doing so would mean winning more elections, but it would come at the cost of depriving some senior citizens of their status and power. They don't have anything else. What are they supposed to do, golf? They're already doing that. Saving the country from rising fascism is all good and well, but not if it comes at the cost of asking some people to retire instead of staying in Congress until they're in their 80s and 90s, surrounded by aides who are the age of their great-grandchildren. The consultant class keeps insisting that the only way to win is this hyper-focus on cultivating rich donors. But the consultants are self-interested. Fundraising is how they get paid. But when the priority is hobnobbing with rich donors, the voters see Democrats as corrupt. So let's be clear, the fear of Zohran isn't about policy or the fact that he is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist. It's about an old guard that would rather lose elections than change. I know this because there's establishment resistance to all sorts of young candidates who are just doing politics differently. Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow is running for her state's open seat in the U.S. Senate. She's also been undermined by Democratic leadership who tried to stop her from running. They stonewalled her until she gave up and started her campaign on her own. She's not a democratic socialist. She's a fairly standard progressive Democrat. But I think I see in her message what they don't like.
So you know what won't fix it? The same old crap out of Washington.
The Democrats came ready to fight back with their little paddles.
Do you know who will? We will. We need new leaders because the same people in D.C. who got us into this mess are not going to be the ones to get us out of it.
Mallory may not be a democratic socialist, but she has a lot in common with Zohran. They're both great communicators who speak plainly about the issues people care about.
We have a system that caters to billionaires and corporations over everyday people. Chicken, chips, tickets, beer. Everything's getting more expensive. All the while, Donald Trump is telling us that
prices are down at tremendous numbers,
while he's selling us out to the same corporations who are jacking up prices on the things that we love.
If it's New York, it's halal stands. If it's Michigan, it's chicken wings. Brilliant. You can run that same ad everywhere in the country. One would think that the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee would love running such a charismatic, relatable candidate. Instead, there's a real fear that candidates like her could start winning. Then the party's way of doing things might have to evolve, or the people currently running things might have to step aside to make room for people with new ideas.
Democratic messaging now sounds too much like, I hear this refrain all the time, Democrats are fighting for you to put food on the table. Well, that's true, but that's the bare minimum. People want to believe in something more, and I think they look at somebody like Donald Trump or Elon Musk, and they say, maybe I don't like the way they talk, and maybe I don't like the way they act, but they're successful, and I want to be successful too. If I were to be elected to the Senate, it would be on a very positive vision of the new American dream.
My guest for Pass the Mic is Amanda Litman of Run for Something. She has other cool candidates that she wants to highlight, but there is one more I'd like to talk about today. Kat Abagazale of Illinois. She's 26 years old and an outsider to the Democratic establishment. She explicitly rejects the fundraising model that is weighing down Democrats, but she's polling well in her run for an open congressional seat. And that's because she takes her case directly to the people.
I don't want to wait a year to help people. My campaign and I would rather spend our money on book drives and clothing exchanges and public events than fancy fundraisers for rich donors.
The reason we're doing this stream and the reason that we have regularly done this stream now is because we want to try something new in campaign fundraising. And that's speaking without a script, that's having fun, that is not calling rich people day in and day out to beg for money. Today we have a goal of 4,000, and if we hit that, then y'all will get to, if we hit the second goal, y'all will get to pick our next stream activity as well.
We hit our goal. Let's be in chat, guys, ask me a question after this.
We did?
We hit our goal!
Daryl M with $6,000.
Holy shit!
Holy cow!
Holy cow!
Just the biggest donation we've ever had. Should we vote on our next?
Yes, and don't put hot ones in there.
Recently, Kat was indicted for participating in an anti-ICE protest. This is a travesty and a violation of her free speech. But she is running a masterclass in how to get attention for your message. First, by being at the protest. I had not actually seen that clip. Oh, Jesus. I mean, it just goes to show she is not playing around, that's for sure. Second, she broke the news of the indictment herself.
And the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center. This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent. We cannot diminish ourselves in the face of these attacks. That's why we have to unite and stand up for humanity, our rights, and everyone terrorized by Trump's lawless secret police.
She must have been served papers and then immediately hit to the camera. Like, that's a political talent right there. All too many politicians play possum when Donald Trump comes at them. And I get it. It's scary having an unhinged madman who has that much power. But young Democrats show that the move is to make it an opportunity. People are craving courage right now and leadership. So when Trump comes for you, that's a chance to showcase both. Zohran's victory is a testament to that. All these Republicans and centrists attacking him, well, it backfired. It made average people like him more. He looks like a fighter. He has the right enemies. People think if those people hate him so much, he must be doing something right. The time for change is now. Get on board or get left behind. Get in, losers. We're running a democratic socialist. I'd like to welcome Amanda Litman to Standing Room Only. She is the co-founder and president of Run for Something, which is a candidate recruitment organization. Welcome to Standing Room Only, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda on Amanda, the best kind of conversation.
I am so excited to talk about this because you specialize in candidates like Zohran Mamdani and other young progressives like that. He just won, and I want to start by asking, he said he's toppled a political dynasty, which was very exciting to hear. I want to ask, what made his candidacy unique, and what could other people learn from that?
So I think Zohran had a couple of things that really worked for him. The first and the most important that maybe shouldn't be unique but is that he could so clearly answer the question, why should voters want him to win? Which is different than why you want to win. And this is the thing we talk about with Run for Something candidates all the time. Like, you want to win because winning is great and losing sucks. Voters want you to win because you're going to do something for them, because you're going to make a difference in their lives that they can feel. So that people could literally yell at him on the street, free buses, free childcare, rent freeze, like they could picture it. They could see it, how it would affect their lives if he won. So while I don't think that should be unique, it is such a powerful way to draw people into your campaign. Second thing that I think really gave him that oomph is he was really tight on who he was and what his values are, so that he could enter lots of different spaces and still hold his shape. Like, he could go on the sports podcast and talk to the influencer on the street, and go on MSNBC and talk to the New York Times reporter, and talk to the parents and the aunties at the playground, and still be who he was, because there's a really strong sense of self. And when you know who you are and what you believe, it's very easy to have the 3-minute conversation and the 3-hour conversation, because you're not sort of like grasping at thin air to figure out what to say. The final thing, again, that shouldn't be unique, but unfortunately is, especially in this race, is that he loves New York City. Like, that dude loves New York City. He loves New Yorkers. He thinks this is a special place to live, to be from, to be of. And especially when you compare that to Andrew Cuomo, who does not live here, does not like it. He doesn't like it here. He doesn't want to be a New Yorker. He wants to live like in Westchester or Long Island or probably Florida now. He does not like New Yorkers, and he does not like New York City. And you see this even in other candidates where they're running sort of against the place they're in. Like, it's a hellhole, it's trash, everyone hates it, we gotta save it from the garbage people. And it's like, no, Zohran Mamdani loves New York City. And I think for a lot of people who live here, to hear someone reflect that affinity for this place is really special.
You didn't mention social media, and I think he's gotten a lot of attention for that. And during the monologue, I talked about Kat Abagazele and Mallory McMorrow, who are also very good at social media. And I want to hear, is that necessary? Like, is that part of the formula? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it is important because it was allowed him to show up everywhere people were getting their information. But the style was possible because of the substance. In the same way that, like, Kat and Mallory, both of whom I know, Mallory Run for Something worked with in her first state Senate race back in 2018, like, part of the reason they are able to be so effective online is because they know who they are and what they believe. So their campaign doesn't have to spend time debating, like, where do we stand on any given issue? It's just a question of, well, how do we communicate that in a way that is the most interesting and most engaging and most comfortable for the candidate? You know, I think that Zohran and Valerie and Kat and a lot of these other millennial and Gen Z candidates in particular, they are consumers of the internet, so they can be really effective producers. And I think that counts for a lot right now, especially, again, when you compare it to like the AI crap that Cuomo was spitting out, or even the really uncomfortable stuff that, you know, Schumer and Jeffries are making on the internet, where it is so clear they are being told by some, 20-nothing staffer how to show up online, not actually doing it in a way that they understand.
So I spend a lot of time railing against the addiction in the Democratic Party to consultants, which creates an addiction to fundraising. I don't know where you land on that particular issue, but when I hear you say that people are coming at this with authenticity, that they are speaking from the heart, that they know who they are and who their values are, how do those two kind of issues relate? Because I think that part of the problem, reasons I hate the consultants, is they pull you away from that.
Well, Zohran had consultants too. That's the thing, is that they all have consultants. I do think the challenge becomes when the consultants can speak louder than the candidates, because the candidate doesn't have a core sense of self. So when they can be really easily swayed. And you see this in the campaigns that are clearly like veering from one side to another. It's because the core ingredient of the campaign isn't very good. It's why candidate recruitment is so important. And I think people rail on consultants, and I understand why, because it feels like a lever you can change, or like a variable you can change. Like, oh, hire different people, or don't hire people at all, or, bring in different kinds of staff, because they don't feel like the candidate is something we have any control over, which I entirely reject that premise. We can absolutely decide who we want to run and who we want to ask. Once someone gets in, can't always like push them out, but you can change who considers himself a viable candidate. You can change who considers leadership part of their path. You can open the door to a much broader swath of people and then help them actually do it. And I know this because it's what I've been doing for the last 9 years.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that, because you obviously recruit tons of candidates around the country. We've highlighted a couple people that I think are doing a great job besides Zohran. And I want to ask you about some people that we should be looking out for.
So Run for Something runs the largest candidate pipeline in the country. We've got about 250,000 young people who've ever raised their hands to run, including more than 72,000 who've raised their hands since this time last year. Wow. That's more people in the last 12 months than in the entirety of Trump's first term. And as we're recording this, which is about noonish the day after the election, we've already had 1,000 people sign up since last night.
That's awesome.
So people want to run. There's amazing leaders all across the country. We've now helped elect, I need to update my stats since last night, but over 1,600 people across 49 states plus DC, many of whom are now running for higher office. So you mentioned Mallory McMorrow earlier. She's a Run for Something alum. A few others that are bubbling up to the national stage. James Tallarico down in Texas, who's running for United States Senate, just such a star. Zach Walz, who's running for Senate in Iowa, who I think absolutely can flip that state red to blue. Alexis Hill, who's running for governor in Nevada. Ethan Corson, running for governor in Kansas. Francesca Hong, running for governor in Wisconsin. Ruel Roman, running for governor in Georgia. Christian Menefee, who just moved into a runoff for a Texas congressional seat. Anna Eskamani, who's running for mayor in Orlando. I could go on and on and on. There's just like amazing young leaders who are so passionate and exciting and different. Like, they're not all ideologically aligned. Yeah. Some are a little bit more to the center, some are a little bit more to the left, some are somewhere in the middle, but they all they know who they are. They know what they believe. And they know how that connects to what their voters believe and what their community cares about. And they're able to talk about it in a way that makes sense to them. So like me as a 30-something Brooklyn mom, I have no need to align 100% with them on anything, except for Zohran, who I'm going to vote for, and even him, I don't need to align with on everything. What I need, and especially as a political operative, what the Democratic Party needs, is to empower candidates like them who can speak to their voters in a way that makes sense on the issues they care about, and to let them do it in the most efficient and effective way possible. And that's what Run for Something has been doing. It's why we've been able to win in so many places. It's so funny to see like the discourse of the day, like, oh, here clearly what Democrats need to do is empower candidates to run in different kinds of places. I'm like, Been there, done that, literally have the Run for Something t-shirt to prove it. It is hard work, but it is not rocket science. It just requires you to be expansive.
Yeah, I think one thing that is causing a lot of people some angst in this election cycle is that they are seeing resistance from the leadership, though. I mean, Zohran, obviously, like, that was over the top, but like, Mallory is also facing some resistance from leadership. I think that we've just seen that it's inconsistent, it's not all the time, but when people see it, it scares them and makes them think that the Democratic establishment does not want to recruit young candidates and doesn't want to get new people. So as a person who's doing that work, what's your experience of that?
Oh, they don't. But it doesn't matter if that they don't, because we're doing it anyway. And young people want to run, young people want to lead, and especially the thing we've heard this year, more so than any other year, is people telling us, I'm done waiting my turn.
Good.
I'm sick of the shit. I'm not waiting around for someone to tap me on the shoulder. I am running, and if they don't like it, they can beat me. As it turns out, we've seen this now in quite a bunch of places, the Democratic establishment doesn't have the juice. Like, they don't actually control that many voters. They don't control that much money. They can maneuver some parts of the machine, and yeah, like, maybe they got better lawyers, but mostly they are so disconnected from where the Democratic base is right now that they can't be the all-powerful entity they might pretend to be. And we have seen this now. We're seeing competitive primaries in a bunch of these Senate races and House races because they have tried to bully candidates out. They've tried to tell Mallory and James in Texas and Zach in Iowa and elsewhere, don't run. You're not the chosen one. Don't run.
Wow.
And they've said, fuck off. And I think that's good, because they should, because we have seen the establishment is not unbeatable. They're not all-knowing. They are simply unchallenged. And when you fight back, you can win.
It is frustrating that you feel like you have to run against the Democrats while also running against the Republicans, but it is where you're at right now.
I think that's what voters want. We're sick of institutions. And I think especially with younger voters, the institutions we have counted on to have our back have failed us. We are disappointed and disillusioned. We do not think that they can deliver on what they have promised. So yeah, let's try something new.
So hopefully people are watching this and thinking, perhaps I could run for office. And yes, you can. So I would like to ask you, because you're the expert, I'm not, what's your advice to somebody who's thinking about running for office?
So first, it's not too late for 2026. Filing deadlines start to hit in December in a couple places, but for the most part, it is not too late. So you go to runforwhat.net. That's Run for Something's website. You can go and enter your address and look up what offices you might be able to run for in 2026 or beyond. You'll start getting a couple things. You'll get invited to the Run for Something community, which is an online community where you can do a bunch of different trainings. You can reach out to our volunteers. We've got mentors. You can talk to other people running. You'll also get invited to conference calls we do every month, where we talk through the same basic questions every first-time candidate has. How do I decide what office to run for? How do I raise money? What if I win? What if I lose? We will guide you through all of the logistics, from getting on the ballot to setting up a campaign to raising money, all the way through to Election Day. The three things that you need to know before you get in are, what is the problem you care about solving? Or what is the thing you want to make better? But like, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? How is the office you want to run for going to give you power to solve it? So you really got to connect the dots here. And this, I think, is one of the challenges for people running for Congress in 2026, is it's going to be really hard to talk about real concrete things you're going to be able to do beyond holding Trump accountable. So especially for the local offices that we work with, you can get into the weeds on housing and childcare and transportation and green space and restaurants and businesses. You can really talk about the nuts and bolts that make people's lives better, or in some cases much, much worse. And then the third thing is what we talked about earlier. Why should voters want you to win? What are you going to do for them? If you can answer those three questions, you don't have to be the most eloquent or the most articulate. You don't have to have full answers or professional answers yet. But if you can answer those three questions, everything else about a campaign we can teach you. And then just got to be ready to do the work. You don't need a ton of money. You don't need a law degree. You don't need a political science degree. You don't need a long resume. There's certainly some rules about like how old you have to be and how long you have to have lived in the district. It varies from place to place. But everything else that you think you need to be a politician is probably not true. Yeah. Being a politician or being a candidate for office, it's like art or music or sports. The way you become an artist or a musician is by making art or making music. The way you become a politician is by putting your name on the ballot and deciding you want to lead. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it sucks because sometimes the people who decide they want to fulfill it are the worst, but the flip side to that is sometimes the people who decide they want to do it are the absolute best.
With that in mind, like how many people say if Donald Trump can run for president, then surely I can run. Like if that piece of worthless piece of crap.
If these numbnuts can do it, literally anyone can. I mean, are they doing it well? No, but it should cure you of your imposter syndrome, because I promise you, they are dumber than you. They don't care as much as you do. They are way more corrupt than you. You can absolutely do this. And there's a whole setup of organizations like Run for Something and hundreds of our partners across the country that will help you. You won't be alone.
So my last question, our mic drop question. Mamdani, his campaign was so much about food. Him eating on the subway, him eating in the park, just eating burritos, eating pizza, eating everything. So what should his first meal once he's sworn in as mayor be?
I think we got to go back to his roots with his halalflation video and go for a halal meal. Dealer's choice on whether he wants the meat with the white sauce and the rice. Yeah, his choice of carts, but go for halal.
I think that's like such a wonderful ideal. I'd love it if they did an inauguration where everybody was just in like suits and dresses and they were just food carts. There's nothing more New York than eating halal at a food stand in a tuxedo.
Absolutely. It's high class, low class, in the most complimentary way.
Yeah. It's like seeing somebody in a wedding dress on the subway. You're like, I love New York.
100%.
Awesome. So hype yourself. You have a book, you have an organization. Please tell Standing Room Only viewers about yourself.
So you can find me online at all the different social media platforms, just posting and yapping too much. I need to log off. I'm Amanda Litm on most of them, or Amanda Litman on the other ones. And I just wrote a book. It came out in May, and it was actually very well timed. It's called When We're in Charge. It's about next generation leadership, about what it will look like when millennials and Gen Z take power and do things very differently. It's actually not about politics at all. It's about business and community and leadership spaces, both formal and informal. And if you like the way Zohran Mamdani leads and shows up and you're like, how could I do that at my own place of work or when I'm running the PTA, When We're in Charge is the book for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on Standing Room Only.
Thanks for having me.
And my guest today has been Amanda Litman of Run for Something. Stick around for the encore. It's a New York song. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Hey folks, so I usually film the encores from Philadelphia where I live, but I am here in Brooklyn today. I'm filming this on Halloween. The kids are out, they're trick-or-treating, having a good time. And you know, I was thinking it would be good to do a song about New York and how wonderful New York City is and how much I love it. There's so many great songs, obviously, about New York City. But for today's pick, I want to pick a song by Lou Reed, who is, to my mind, one of the most iconic New York artists. This is 1972's Perfect Day. It's off the album Transformer, which was produced by David Bowie and Mick Ronson. It was one of Reed's initial solo projects after he ended the Velvet Underground, which is his iconic 1960s band that was famous for being associated with Andy Warhol and The Factory, and also being an inspiration to millions of indie rock and punk bands after it. Anyway, Perfect Day is a beautiful song. It's got a lot of stringed instruments, and Reed sings it in this kind of almost melancholic way, but the lyrics are actually about taking a walk in Central Park with somebody you love, the most iconic of New York days. And it's just so hard not to think of that song today, when everyone's feeling joyful, when everyone's feeling hopeful in the city, when in the midst of everything that's terrible that's going on, we actually have one good thing happening and coming off of what I think is going to feel like a pretty good day for a lot of New Yorkers. So yeah, Perfect Day by Lou Reed. The whole album Transformer is worth checking out. Kind of everything Lou Reed did was worth checking out. So thank you. Have a great afternoon, and I hope that you have some more perfect days ahead of you. If you want more Standing Room Only episodes, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Standing Room Only started as a newsletter, and it's free to read. Click the link to subscribe. I love tips. These political battles are playing out in our local communities, your family, your school, your neighborhood. If you have a story, go ahead and drop me a line. Leave it in comments, and don't forget to subscribe.